On June 4th, 2020, Basketball1 tweeted, "If police violence doesn't end by this weekend, I'm going to have to get involved." Matthew replied, "What are you going to do?" Basketball responded, "Get involved." Deep Sea Blue asked, "What should the police feel from this statement?" To which Basketball responded, "Fear." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am as scared about the news as I've ever been in my entire life, and doing the show at all feels a little silly, but I figured I might as well cover a tweet that is related to what's going on in the world. This tweet was tweeted by Basketball1 the last time there was widespread unrest, specifically during the George Floyd protests of 2020. And Basketball1 made it clear that if police violence, spelled violence, didn't end by the weekend, he was going, spelled going, to have to get involved. It pains me to say that this is definitely a joke based on the fact that his account is Basketball1 Niking Jaduit1, and his other tweets are equally silly, but it is very funny to read this like it's sincere. Like there's a guy who's like, alright, I let this all play out, but if it keeps going, by the end of the weekend, I'm gonna have to get involved. And if it was just this tweet, it would still be funny, but the responses really make it. Matthew, treating it seriously, says, "What are you going to do?" And that leads Basketball to say very matter-of-factly, "Get involved." Because of course, he can't spell anything correctly. And then when Deep Sea Blue tries to get to the bottom of this, or tries to maybe get evidence against Basketball, by asking what should the police feel from this statement, Basketball answers with one word: fear. He doesn't give specific details, but he's letting us know that him getting involved is something you should be afraid of. Why this is funny, I think, is because it's imitating a sort of tough guy act that you see a lot online. Like, guys on the internet are always giving hypotheticals where it's like, hey, if I was there, I'd step in, I'd make sure none of this was happening. Now, the funny thing here is that usually it's from the other side, usually it's people who are, like, against protesters. But here, Basketball1 is like, no, the police violence has to stop. And I think his short answers really help keep up the character. Like, as someone who appreciates a good Twitter joke, I appreciate that he doesn't really overplay the joke. He lets the dumbness of the bit speak for itself. And lots of people played into the joke, like Captain Dank quoted it and said, "The police are shitting themselves right now." Emerson said, "You heard it here first." It was actually posted to a subreddit for cops called r/protect and serve, where someone said, "Fear this man, LEOs." And like, I personally don't enjoy that cops laughed at it, but whatever. And when it was posted to r/notcanm, Godsmack noted, "Built different." Because that really is the ethos he's putting across in this tweet. That other people might be marching, other people might be getting involved, but they haven't seen anything until I get involved. And in terms of lasting legacy, probably the biggest lasting legacy is, I'm going to have to get involved. In 2021, Albert noted, "If racism doesn't end by this weekend, I'm going to have to get involved." A few months ago, Princess Molestia said, "If the stock market doesn't go up by the end of this week, I'm going to have to get involved." EP tweeted at McDonald's, "Bring back all-day breakfast or I'm going to have to get involved." Cheesy echoed what we're all thinking, "If the Supreme Court doesn't stop, I'm going to have to get involved." In early 2022, Militant Pavicic said, "If a war starts between Ukraine and Russia, I'm going to have to get involved." And perhaps most controversially, when Roblox went down for a brief period of time, Curcio said, "If Roblox doesn't come back in 10 minutes, I'm going to have to get involved." In a very funny way, it sort of becomes synonymous with an idle threat. Like, it's a joking way to say that you're mad about something and you want to fix it, but you really don't have power. Because unfortunately, Basketball1 may have gotten involved, but police violence did stop. I mean, yeah, it didn't stop. If he's still around, I really do hope he gets involved, because everything is awful and feels like it's getting worse, and we really could use someone getting involved. Please, Basketball1. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and please consider subscribing to my Patreon, patreon.com/Museum of Twitter. You get access to my Discord, we can vote when I cover on Subscriber Sundays in a weekly bonus episode called the Museum of Not Twitter.